before you close your eyes tonight, there are 3 powerful things the Holy Spirit needs to hear from you. 3 words that can shift your atmosphere, bring peace to your sleep, and awaken miracles in your life. Kathryn Kuhlman knew the secret, and now it's your turn to speak what heaven responds to. What you say tonight could change everything by morning. You don't have to wait until everything in your life is perfect to speak to him. You don't need a platform or a pulpit. You don't need the right words or a crowd watching. All you need is a quiet moment, a sincere heart, and the willingness to open your mouth and say, "Holy Spirit, I welcome you." That one sentence, spoken in truth, has the power to change the atmosphere of your life, especially before you sleep, because the world pulls at you all day long, draining your energy, confusing your mind, and clouding your spirit. But when you pause at night in the stillness and intentionally invite his presence, something begins to shift inside you. That is when peace replaces pressure. That is when direction rises from the silence. That is when the invisible becomes undeniable. Kathryn Kuhlman understood this. She didn't treat the Holy Spirit like a distant force. She treated him like her closest companion. Before sleep, when most people are winding down, turning to entertainment, or scrolling through noise, she turned inward. She spoke softly, sincerely, and intentionally to the one she trusted most. She didn't perform. She didn't pretend. She simply invited him in. That is the secret so many overlook. Because it's not about how long you pray, it's about how real you are when you do. When you say, "Holy Spirit, I welcome you," you're doing more than just speaking. You're surrendering. You're creating a space, a sanctuary in your heart where the divine can dwell. You see, we often invite problems into our minds without realizing it. We carry stress to bed. We replay conversations. We worry about tomorrow. But what if you change the script? What if the last thing your heart heard before rest wasn't fear, but friendship? What if the final words of your day were not, "I'm tired," or "I'm overwhelmed," but "Holy Spirit, I welcome you"? That's not just a phrase. That's an invitation, and invitations carry weight. They prepare the room. They set the tone. They change the atmosphere. When you speak those words, you are reminding your soul who's really in charge. You're letting go of control. You're saying, "Come take your place in my mind, in my emotions, in my sleep, in my tomorrow." You are handing over the night shift to the one who never slumbers, and something beautiful happens in that moment. Your rest becomes sacred. Your dreams become clearer. Your mind finds peace, not because all your problems disappeared, but because his presence settled over you. Don't underestimate what happens when you speak to him this way. He listens, he responds, not always in the way you expect, but always in the way you need. Sometimes it's not a voice, but a stillness, not a sign, but a peace. Sometimes you'll cry, sometimes you'll smile, but always, if your heart is honest, he will meet you there. Not because you earned it, but because you invited him. The truth is, people spend their lives trying to find peace in things that were never built to give it. They chase relationships, money, success, approval, all looking for something to ease the ache inside. But real peace doesn't come from what you have, it comes from who you welcome. You could be in the smallest room in the hardest season with the loudest storm around you. But if you speak and say, "Holy Spirit, I welcome you," suddenly that room becomes a place of power. That season becomes a place of growth. That storm becomes a setup for something greater. It's not about emotions. It's not about performance. It's about connection. And connection happens when you stop everything else and choose to acknowledge him. When you recognize that you are not alone and you don't have to figure it all out by yourself. When you remember that he is not a distant force watching from far away, but a present help waiting for your invitation. And when you give it, when you pause, breathe, and say those simple words with an honest heart, everything within you begins to respond to him. So tonight, when the noise fades and the lights go out, don't rush into sleep burdened by the weight of another day. Don't let fear write the last line of your day. Instead, speak softly and say, Holy Spirit, I welcome you. Not because you've been perfect, but because you're willing. Not because you have all the answers, but because you know where your help comes from. And in that quiet, sacred exchange, something holy begins. That's when peace enters. That's when direction returns. That's when miracles begin in the dark. Because sometimes the most powerful transformation starts with the simplest words whispered in the silence. There comes a point where your strength runs out. When your energy fades, your plans fail, and the weight of doing life on your own finally becomes too much to carry. That's the moment many people avoid, but it's also the moment when something powerful can happen. Because when you finally look up and whisper, I can't do this without you, you're not admitting defeat, you're stepping into divine partnership. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Kathryn Kuhlman knew this secret deeply. She didn't try to impress God with eloquent speeches or polished perfection. Her power didn't come from herself. It came from her willingness to say, I need you. That is where the true strength is found. In the stillness of the night, when all the noise fades and there's nothing left to lean on but faith, that's when your dependence on him becomes your greatest strength. Not your talents, not your experience, not your charisma, but your surrender. When you speak those words at the end of your day, I can do nothing without you, you're doing more than just expressing need. You're resetting your soul. You're reminding yourself that you weren't made to carry the pressure of the world alone. That whisper becomes a key that unlocks clarity, peace, and direction. It frees you from the illusion of control and allows you to rest in the assurance that you are not in this by yourself. There's a strange pressure today to appear like you have it all together. People post perfect pictures, quote powerful phrases, wear confidence like a badge. But deep inside they're exhausted, trying to keep it all together, trying to prove something, trying not to fall apart. But here's the truth. The strongest people are not the ones who never break. They are the ones who know who to lean on when they do, and that's where dependence becomes a gift. You don't have to carry your identity in what you do. You don't have to earn love, prove your worth, or chase validation. When you come to the end of your day and declare your dependence, you're releasing all of that. You're saying, I don't have to have it all figured out, because I trust the one who does. That's when the pressure lifts. That's when the fear fades. That's when you stop trying to perform and start learning how to rest. Dependence isn't passive, it's powerful. It's the boldest thing you can do in a world that tells you to be self-made, self-sufficient, and self-focused. Because real strength isn't about how loudly you can shout. Sometimes it's about how quietly you can surrender, and that quiet surrender, spoken sincerely to the Holy Spirit, becomes the turning point. You're not asking him to rescue you from your life. You're asking him to lead you through it, and there's a world of difference between the two. Every night you have a choice. You can carry the weight of the day into your dreams, or you can lay it down. You can cling to your own plans, or you can open your hands and say, not by my strength, not by my might. I need you. When you do that, you align yourself with something greater than your schedule, your emotions, or your circumstances. You align yourself with peace that doesn't depend on what's going on around you. Kathryn didn't depend on applause or approval. She depended on the one who called her. She understood that gifts fade, people change, and platforms come and go. But the presence she invited every night never left her side. and it's the same for you. Your dependence on him doesn't make you less capable. It makes you more available. Available to grow, to hear, to change, to be used in ways far beyond what you thought possible. When you go to sleep tonight, don't let pride talk you out of this moment. Pride says you've got it handled. Pride says you're fine, but your spirit knows the truth. It's tired of carrying burdens in silence. It's waiting for you to break that silence with one honest confession. I can't do this without you. And that's when everything begins to shift. That's when you make space for wisdom, clarity, and the supernatural guidance you've been missing. Because the moment you admit your need, you give room for power to step in, not your power, his. And in that quiet partnership, something beautiful is born, peace in the process, confidence in the unknown, and strength that's not tied to your performance. So as the night wraps around you and the world begins to sleep, speak what your heart has always known. Whisper it, mean it, and watch how things begin to change. Just say it. I can do nothing without you. That's when the real transformation begins. It's easy to go through life on autopilot, doing the right things, saying the right words, even appearing strong on the outside, while quietly carrying things in your heart that shouldn't be there. Resentment that never got addressed. Thoughts you didn't invite but let stay too long. A little bitterness, a silent jealousy, or just an unsettled feeling you can't explain. And yet, you go to sleep every night without saying a word about it. But here's the thing. What you ignore doesn't disappear. It grows. It spreads in the silence. And the only way to stay free, truly free, is to face it head on. That's why Kathryn Kuhlman always said the Holy Spirit isn't someone you play church with. He's someone you open your heart to fully, honestly, and without pretense. When you say, "Search my heart," you're giving him access to the parts of you that no one else sees. Not just the places you've cleaned up, but the messy, hidden places where motives get twisted, where wounds still bleed, where pride hides in plain sight. This isn't about guilt, it's about growth. It's not about condemnation. It's about becoming whole, because the truth is, you can fool everyone around you and still be completely out of alignment inside. You can smile in public but be tormented in private. But when you invite the Holy Spirit to search your heart, you're making a brave choice. You're saying, "I want to be real. I want to be clean. I want to be whole." That kind of honesty breaks things open. That kind of surrender changes you from the inside out. We live in a time where people are encouraged to hide, to mask, to filter everything, even their pain. But the Holy Spirit doesn't want your filter. He wants your truth, and he already sees it anyway. So why not bring it into the light? Why not say, "If there's anything in me that grieves you, show me"? Not to shame you, not to bring you down, but to set you free. That's the part so many people miss. Conviction is a gift. It's not meant to crush you. It's meant to clear the path. Sometimes the heaviness you feel isn't just stress or anxiety. Sometimes it's the weight of things you were never meant to carry, grudges, regrets, unspoken pain, the wrong attachment, the secret comparison, the quiet pride that creeps in when you start to depend more on yourself than on him. And if you never stop and let him show you those things, they'll keep growing under the surface, slowly draining your strength and stealing your peace. But the moment you ask him to search you, really search you, you give him permission to start cleaning house. Not in anger, in love, gently, firmly, with clarity. He'll bring things to your attention that you forgot were even there. That thing someone said last year that you never let go of. that thought you keep revisiting even though you act like you've moved on, that ambition that started pure but got tangled up in ego. And as painful as it might feel in the moment, there is nothing more powerful than having your heart realigned in truth. Kathryn never tried to hide anything from the Holy Spirit because she understood something. He can only fill what's empty. He can only heal what's exposed, and he can only transform what's surrendered. The more room you make in your heart by clearing out what doesn't belong, the more powerfully he can move in your life. And here's the beautiful part. He's not surprised by what he finds. He's not caught off guard by your brokenness. He doesn't reject you for needing help. In fact, it's the very reason he came, to walk with you through the dark corners, to bring light where there's confusion, to pour peace where there's chaos. So when you lay your head down at night, don't rush past this moment. Don't skip over the invitation to be searched. Sit in silence for just a moment and say, is there anything in me that's not right? And then listen, not with fear, but with expectation. Expect that he'll answer. Expect that he'll speak, maybe not with words, but with a sudden clarity, a quiet conviction, a gentle nudge. And when he does, don't argue, don't justify, just surrender it. Lay it down, let it go, because every time you allow him to search you, you're becoming more you. The real you, the one that's not shaped by pain or pride or fear, but by purpose. You're being refined, not rejected. You're being cleansed, not condemned. And you're stepping into a kind of freedom that no performance or perfection could ever give you. So tonight, don't just close your eyes and hope for peace. Create space for it. Make room for it. Ask for it. Just whisper, search me, and watch what happens. That's where the real healing begins.